We're not, are we live on the thing yet?
You have 40 seconds.
40 seconds.
We'll talk about that later. We're recording.
Okay, so I just briefly, I'll welcome you from my side, and then you can just quickly introduce yourself, and then those questions, I'm sure Natasha walked through with you with them. But yeah, you're rock stars. I know that this will be going very well. See, 15, 14. Right. Almost live. 2, 1. Here we go. Good afternoon. Welcome. What an honor to be on the platform with Rebecca, Sandra, and Ivan. Thank you so much. Today we're going to speak about creating a Millionaire Market Center. From your side, please welcome and tell us your story at KW.
Who wants to go first?
Ladies first.
Go ahead, Sandra.
Okay. So my name is Sandra Candler. I am a MAPS coach and an MCA in the Fort Mill Market Center. And I've been with KW since November 2013 and started as an MCA with 98 agents, became a MAPS coach a couple of years later. And I'm just super grateful for all of the opportunities that I've had to grow as a person and as a leader and the amazing people I'm surrounded with. We did grow the Fort Mill Market Center from not being in the top half of 650 market centers in 2013 to being number 5 in profitability in 5 years. And I was gone for 2 years. I went to help some market centers in Maryland, and then also helped grow a market center in Wilmington. All of those are in the Carolina, or Wilmington's in North Carolina in the United States. And we ended last year in the top 4% of the company in profit share here in the Fort Mill Market Center. And we're going to continue to go back up to number 10. That is my goal. And the way that we do that is by helping our agents get what they want. So I'm really excited to be here with these two. I know Rebecca and Ivan both, and it is certainly an honor to be in conversation with them and certainly to serve all of you alongside of them.
I got to follow that. Oh, okay. So I'm Rebecca Rose. I was an MCA in the Chesterfield Market Center while we grew it from about 200 agents to a little over 400 agents in about 18 months to 2 years. I work with Mark King. I think that's my claim to fame, is that I'm the luckiest Craigslist ad answerer in the entire universe, possibly. And as Mark has moved to different roles, I have gone with him into other roles as his integrator or his ops person, his right hand, whatever he feels like saying it that day. So I've worked at the regional level in the United States for the greater Heartland region, which is flyover country right in the center of the United States. And then when he moved into divisional leader roles and now the director of growth, I have worked there with him, which is, why do you care? Because it's allowed me the opportunity to learn a lot about Keller Williams systems and models very quickly, and hopefully pass on some information that is not anything I made up or decided, but just great information from Gary and Mark and the other leadership here. And I'm also super excited to be with these two people. I can't actually believe I was asked, so yay.
Okay, and sure. No, I've got an awesome panel today. It's going to be very, very hard to top anything that you guys say. But yeah, I'm Ivan Jansen, and I'm an MCA here for Keller Williams Clockwork in Benoni. And started out in real estate in 2017, January, and started working as an MCA in 2018. And it's been a massive learning curve, but I've loved every moment of it. And I think the difference, the difference in circumstances that we started from really the early days of a market center. The nice thing that also happened is that the team leader, Bernice, and our team leader, we started off at very similar times, and we're about 38 agents, and today we're sitting on 111. So yeah, I'm quite keen to chat today about all of the things that, about how MCAs can have an impact in the market center to see the growth that we want for the market center, but most importantly for the agents. But I think really and truly, I think I'm just going to be sitting learning from these two awesome ladies.
Right, thank you so much. Well, my name is Corné. I'm part of the operational team at Keller Williams Southern Africa, and this is a huge honor for me to be on the platform with you. Thank you. Right, so let's kick off. What is the most important role as an MCA?
Want to go in the same order?
Sure, that's a good way to do it. I believe that the most important role for an MCA is to be the connector of every single agent to what they need to hit the goals that they came in to hit. So there are a lot of things that fall under that umbrella, and the team leader's role is to choose who we get into business with, and the MCA's role is to ensure the entire rest of the team gets that person what they need and partners with them well so that they're successful, they can make the money that they intend to make, and that in turn can design the life that they intended to have and help them contribute to the things that are most important to them.
I love that. I'm going to go in a slightly different direction. One of the most important roles I think the MCA has is to partner with the team leader in such a way that they take over anything that is running the market center. If it's running the market center, it should eventually be on your plate. And if we leave the team leaders in their lanes of growth, and not just growing by grossing new agents, also growing the businesses of the agents that are in your market center, those top agents, that is how I believe you win at the highest level. So creating that partnership is and was key for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think from our side as well, I view my role as that of creating and maintaining systems that look after the agents in the best way possible. We know that the agents are our clients, and we're here to look after them. I'm very fortunate to have a team of an operations team in our market center that helps me to do this, so I'm not alone. But everything we do is centered around how can we give our agents the things that they need to achieve at the level that they want to. And like I love this phrase that Sandra uses, that they get what they came to Keller Williams to get. But my focus this year, especially when a lot of MCAs were saying it's difficult to find that one thing I can focus on, I found that my focus this year had to be on my efforts to retain the agents that we have. And I will know that what I'm doing is working if our agents are staying with us, staying happy, and staying in production. So it's using these systems and the people that I'm so fortunate to have helping me in the market center, to making sure that these agents just keep getting what they need to excel and to execute.
I'd like to add to that. MCA also need to be a leader. Because they're part of the leaders, TL and OP. Leaders are there to help people to grow, to push them forward, to make sure that they achieve their goals. And we are there as an MCA to also build relationships, to make sure that the people, we know what are their big whys, just so that we know that they can stick to and stay to our company, and so that they know what value add we have as Keller Williams. So MCAs, we need to be leaders.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I like that you say that, Corné, because a lot of MCAs like myself, you start out in an admin role, and you start out with a lower level of responsibility depending on your experience. But you earn that more responsibility as you go along. And like you say, you can be a leader. It doesn't matter how you start. It doesn't matter what your background is. Our DFI is an excellent leader, and our admin ladies are great leaders. So being an MCA is just a different level of leadership, and you can have an impact on people's lives, regardless of how long you've done it for or what you've learned in the period you've been an MCA for.
Can I ask you a question. Do I sound weird?
You're good now.
Okay, I don't know what was going on there. Okay, so I would just like to ask, because I know this part of your story really quick. So what helped you learn from the assistant MCA position to continue to grow when you were in a different role so that you could quickly move into an MCA position? What do you think helped with that for those people who are listening that are interested?
Is that a question for me, Sandra?
It is.
So it's taking it bit by bit and one little thing at a time, and setting goals for yourself that by the end of the week I should have learned and mastered this, and by the end of the next week I should have learned and mastered this, and you take it step by step, and you've got to have a growth plan for yourself, because once you get that sign on your door that says MCA, what you do with it from then on forward is up to you. So I was so fortunate to have other great MCAs in our region that I just bugged them the whole time. What do you know that I don't know? How can I learn it? Can we spend time together? Can we have coffee? And we've got such a great tribe of clockwork MCAs. And we just meet together and have these conversations. So that really helped. Never isolate yourself and try and figure it out on your own. Grab someone that knows more than you do and just get that information out of them. Buy them a drink.
So Ivan, what were some tools that you used to keep yourself on track and make sure you were growing and accomplishing those things each week?
I think the beauty of this, I think the beauty that we work with is that there's numbers, and numbers tell you a story. Numbers will tell you if what you're doing is working. Numbers will tell you if you're wasting your time on certain things. So the first tool that I actually used was the trend report. And it was in Google Drive at the time. It was an Excel sheet. And I learned how to analyze the trend report at a much higher level than I'd ever thought I would end up doing. And by studying the trend report, I could now realize what training the market center needed. I could realize what conversations needed to be had. I could realize, look, we've done these activities for the last 3 months and the numbers haven't changed. Something isn't working. And I started to get such a kick out of it when I did something or implemented something with my team, and then you see a number grow. You're like, whoa, I'll do that again. So, and I think as MCAs, many of us love numbers. So for me, it was tools like the trend reports that shows you the relationships between action and result. And that could then tell me what I'm learning and what I'm doing. Is it working for me, or do we need a ditch? What we started out doing.
That's awesome. I love that.
So we have a question from the chat box asking how important is the relationship between the TL and the MCA?
I'm gonna jump in and just say this may sound strange, but I believe it to be true. So give me some grace. I think that the team leader and the MCA are like a married parental couple, because when it's not working, when that relationship is not working, the agents, your kids, know, and they don't want to be around it because it's awkward. And so some of the things that I tell MCAs is that if you are not in alignment, like line up your fingers on your hands with your team leader, it's not a judgment against either one of you. You could be just slightly off and you're not going to be able to succeed at the highest level. So you can either go back through the career visioning process, which is huge to form alignment, or it may just be better for the two of you to partner with someone else and go blow up the world and do amazing things. But that relationship is really, I think, central and key, that you guys are on the same page, you have each other's back. And if they ask mom a question, they're going to get the same answer from dad, or mom and mom, or dad and dad, however it rolls in your market center. But just that, it was so central for us.
Yeah, I would actually say that that's the most important relationship in the entire leadership team. I know for years we heard that the OP team leader relationship is the most important, and yet most of the time the OP is not in the market center as often when the entire team is staffed. And So I believe that the team leader and MCA are a true partnership, and even their relationship will have an impact on what the relationship looks like with the productivity coach as well, right? So they are truly a model, they're a model for your agents and how they're going to partner with someone who is or is not talented, is or is not in culture for their business. Because everything that we do at the market center level is a model for the agents and how they run their business. And you have to be thinking about that because they are watching you. And what we ask them to do for their business and what we do have to be in alignment, right? I don't know if you've ever had your parent say, don't do this, and then you watch them do it. Actions are more important than words. And what I was going to mention around this is sometimes an MCA is hired first and then there's a team leader transition. Or sometimes, you'll have someone else. Anyway, the order of which people are hired is a little bit different than if the team leader did the entire career visioning process with the MCA. Or maybe they're not the ones that hired the MCA, and that's okay. However, I love what Rebecca said, going back through the career visioning process. The two key pieces that I always recommend to people when they have this relationship where they weren't in career visioning together or where they need a refresh is going back and looking at each other's motivational interview and also having an expectations conversation or a how to win with me conversation for both people so that you're not guessing at how to communicate and operate effectively. You're actually telling each other how to win with me. And when you do that, you can move together forward faster.
Cornelia,
I would add one more thing to that. Go ahead, Ivan.
No, Rebecca, after you.
I would just say I'd add one more quick thing. Even if your relationship is awesome and amazing, revisiting the motivational interview on a fairly consistent basis is huge because as people grow and change, their motivations change also.
Yeah, from my side, one thing that I've come to learn to love and want to build is momentum. And I think that a good relationship between a team leader and an MCA creates momentum in a market center. And it works this way. When the team leader grows his agents and good agents, market share agents, cappers, and that come in, and as an MCA, your systems are in place to take them on and do an amazing onboarding process, get them into production, give them what they need, you start to see the numbers of your market center improve immediately. And there's nothing better than when you feel this energy that new agents bring in. You see it in the numbers, but as you're enjoying this new energy that's been created in your market center, your team leader adds a few more big names for you to work with. And it just grows. And as you're enjoying where you stand now, your team leader brings in, even more agents that are awesome to work with, and it just grows. And you build that momentum that then sustains you through even some difficult months. What I've seen sometimes is, as a team leader and an MCA are learning to work together well enough and to actually have those honest conversations with each other. One of them will be working very, very hard, but the other is not supporting the momentum that's been created, and it becomes frustrating for a team leader and an MCA. So I think that one of the very first dominoes towards building a great market center is, a team leader and an MCA that speak often and speak with deep respect. I've learned, fortunately for me, I've got an awesome team leader. She's not hard to respect at all. She's easy to love. But I've learned that when I speak with her respectfully, even when it's a difficult situation, we move forward from things. And again, that momentum stays high. We have to watch for these little landmines that steal momentum out of the market center. And I like the hands thing. So,
Well, talking about growing your market center, how do you support the growth of the market center?
I believe that the operations team supports the growth of the market center in many ways. So everyone on the entire team should be contributing to it, could be, and at the highest level will be contributing to an experience that's a 5-star experience. And when you set the expectations up front in the recruiting meeting with people, they're going to have a 5-star experience, and you follow through on that, you get referrals from those agents for additional agents to come join because they're so excited about the experience they will have. And they will be the people that are telling your story. Also, the MCA team and the operations team can be intentional about sharing the stories of the growth and the successes of the agents within the market center externally, so that you are attracting and being intentional about what your story is in the market and not allowing other people to tell your story. And when you do that consistently, and when you remind people that they are using everything at Keller Williams to be successful, and you're intentional about continuing to revisit what their goals are, what their big why is, then you just create this magnet, and you create this opportunity for people to continue to join you. And also newly, and this isn't new, this is just me being new to it, being intentional about helping tell the story through your team leader. So what are you doing to help your team leader be the local economist of choice? And especially now during the virtual world, that's more important because of COVID than ever. Are they on video often? Are they in front of other top producers often, sharing little tidbits that are going to come from contribution, so that when they become unhappy at their other brokerage, or if something isn't going as planned, they know who to come to consult them in their business, and they choose your market center.
Sandra always has great stuff to say, so I can't go the same route she goes, or my stuff just doesn't sound good. So I'm going to go once again a different route. So all of those things, 100%, that's amazing. And I was not great at all of those things, I will tell you that. I think one of the things that MCAs and team leaders, after they've formed this relationship, they're talking often, they have this deep respect, they can have hard conversations with each other, which is key to be able to have the hard conversation, is really define both of your geniuses. I don't know where I read it, so someone can Google it. I stole this from someone. You can only be truly great if you're in your genius and you're doing something you love. Because the people who are in their genius, it comes a little bit easier to them. And when you love it, you look at it all the time. So when people love things like numbers and they're diving into those multi-year trends all the time, and they get numbers at a high level, they're going to always be better than me. I don't get numbers at a high level. I'm not going to go head to head with another MCA on multi-year trend diving in. That's not what I do. But what I can do, which is my genius, is make sure there's nothing else for the team leader to do. I always said, if you're not recruiting production, you're going to start looking really silly. You're going to be sitting in your office with nothing to do. Because I eventually got everything out of his lane that wasn't growing. So if he wasn't consulting a top agent or having a recruiting appointment, he was just sitting in there. And I would walk in there and say, what's up? And I also earned the right eventually to bring pipelines to him and say, we have these goals. This pipeline is not going to hit this goal. How do I support you in filling this pipeline? Recruiting is not my genius. I was a team leader for 4 seconds. I was really bad at it. It's not what I want to do. But what I can do is take everything else over. I've had my license for 18 years. I was the broker of the office when I was the MCA there. There was literally, I always said, I'm the boss of this whole place, except for this little thing you do over here, which is the big thing, which is grow the office. So I think for me, that's how I supported the growth. But was by keeping my team leader in his genius as much as possible. Any time that he spent not in his genius was wasted time, in my opinion.
That's awesome. And I think my thought towards this was very similar to Sandra's. So I'm going to give a different thought here, so we can, give as much diversity to what we're telling. One thing, to be very practical, one thing that an MCA that's listening now can do is work on driving the net. One thing that kills your growth goals is your team leader bringing agents in, and they're coming into this, it's like carrying water, with a bucket that's got holes underneath. And, the work that's being put in is just leaking out because agents are not getting what they need to build the life that they want to. So the first thing the MCA can look at is, how do I make sure that the agents we've got are loving this place and will stay? In South Africa, for example, I think that one of the main reasons agents might leave a market center, actually at this stage of where the region is if their production numbers are not at minimum standard and it no longer becomes a win-win for the market center to keep that agent. So as an MCA, pull out your agent list, A to Z, and go through the agent's numbers. We're fortunate to have the My Age Market Center usage where you can see each agent's trend and look at which agent right now is at risk of falling out of production to the extent where there may be, the relationship may then be ended a month or two from now, so that you're not walking around 2 months later deregistering agents because they're just not producing anything. Get started and take the initiative now and say, who's showing any signs of being at risk? So what we can do is make an at-risk list. And if you start off with 30 agents on there, get to work and say, what can I implement? What conversation can I have with this agent to turn this ship around such that 2 months from now, they're not being deregistered or being under minimum standard. So that's one thing that I've started here that I can see has helped me to intervene earlier and get into that right conversation with the right person much earlier and decrease the number of deregistrations that are going through because of agents falling out of production and minimum standard.
I love your tangible goal around that. It's sometimes you feel like you're fighting this net battle with no tangible goal besides, don't lose agents. I love that you have that list and you're like, okay, we started with 50 at-risk agents. Our goal is to get it to X amount of at-risk agents. I think that makes it so much easier to get behind and focus on if you're making a difference.
So I would also like to add to that, Rebecca, I would not forget about the comment that you've made in the app management video with Mark King and John Davis about stay in your line. What is the TL doing at the printer? You're in my line, move over, stay in your line, go do your recruits. I'll do the printing, I'll do the transactions. So that is, I think, is also a part of the support in the growth of the market center. Each leader should do their job. Stay in your line.
I want to add one more thing to Ivan's. So we have a report similar to what you're talking about where we can clearly see here in the United States as well who isn't having production. And one thing I would recommend is taking that list of the ones that you're working with to the rest of your operations team and staff, not necessarily your team leader, because everyone may connect with the agents differently. So even if you don't have the best relationship yet and you're working on it, someone else may have a great one. And that way you can work together as a team to keep the agents connected.
Guys, really, let's move over to the next question. How can you share, can you share how you interact and support your top agents in your market center?
So I wrote down quite a few things on this one. And one of the primary ways is being heavily involved with the team leader in the ALC retreat every single year. So we do an ALC retreat to prepare for the following year. And we're very intentional about building the wealth of our ALC members and figuring out wherever they're starting from. And we have zero opinion about what that looks like. So whether it's they're working on getting out of debt or whether they are building out their investment portfolio that they already have built well and they're adding to it, or whether they're starting a nonprofit, whatever is important to them. Our goal is to get clear on that and to help them set a goal accordingly to what they'd like to achieve in that. And for us to help them understand that their role really is to develop other leaders on their committees. And when we do that, and we consistently help them with whatever they need from the leadership team or staff throughout the year to support their committees, we see really great results. And in years that we don't, we can certainly feel it. So that is a really big way that I personally am involved in that. We just did the retreat for the ALC here at the Market Center, and I had the opportunity to go through the wealth building and 411 conversation just as a part of the agenda. So figure out, like what Rebecca said, what is your, I would say superpower, right? Genius is a really great word too. And figure out how you can contribute from that perspective to your top agents. I have on my calendar, tell a story via video once a week of one of my top agents and their growth. And that is for internal and external purposes. And it has a huge impact on their business when you do it well, and helps their business grow because it highlights them and helps them understand how well they're doing and helps other clients be attracted to their business. Also, I have a couple of agent consultation meetings scheduled standing on my calendar every single day. So I am in conversation with our top agents on profitability and hiring and what decisions to make in their business daily.
So I'm going to go back to something Sandra said earlier, which is modeling the right systems and models. I had this aha about a year into my role, so because I'm a slow learner, so you can get it quicker than me, is that the MREA tells you how to run a real estate team. But if you just replace the word listing with market share or capper or R2 or whatever your word is for the agents that you want in your market center and reread it, it's how to run a market center. And so when you dive into those models and then run them at a high level, you can then consult your top agents. So even though I never had a $10 million team of my own or a $50 million team or a top level team, I could always pull out the MREA when they had a question or concern, an issue, and say, do you know what you should do? Let's open this up to, the org chart and let's talk about that. Here's one of the concerns I have for you is that in your team, you are missing this player, or you're not making money. Okay, let's go look at, the MREA system for how we divide up our expenses. Which of your expense categories is out of line here? And really becoming that person that they see as, she'll have that answer for me based on systems and models that we know work, I think not only helps you support them, but gets them to choose to interact with you and come to you. And the top agents are with the team leader and being consulted, hopefully on a really consistent basis. But if you're not in the top 20%, it means even more to you when someone will consult you as though you are the business owner that you are and not an agent in our office. I want to talk to you business owner to business owner. And then I also, because I've been in real estate for a while, so other MCAs who have been in real estate, I always was really interactive with the ops teams of the bigger teams. So if the team leader is coaching the rainmaker, I would be very interactive with those ops people, and it helped me keep a pulse on how their teams maybe were really doing, because agents aren't always, they don't share the negative, right? They're uber positive people that are pretty driven, but the ops person will tell you if they think the top buyer's agent is leaving or profit's not where they want it to be, or any of those types of things that can help the team leader consult at a higher level.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I think listening to you guys, you're hearing high level MCA in here, sure. And I think for the person that's maybe starting out, and I like something that I think it's you, Rebecca, that has said in previous sessions that you earn the right to have bigger and more powerful conversations with people. You're not going to start off talking about a top agent's profit and loss and what's on their bank statement. They may not trust you enough in the beginning to have that conversation with you. So what can you do? What you can do is start with what you know. So for me, my journey to becoming an MCA was through administrative roles and really understanding how a real estate company operates. And the beauty of real estate is the market center and the teams they really run off of some very similar models. So pick that one thing that you know and you know well, and speak about that a lot until you learn the other things. And I think the other thing that you can do with your top agents as well is speak to them about their goals. And this I've seen, and I've really grown to enjoy in my role, talking about goals. And it started off as just 4 conversations. Agent, what's your goal for the year? What should your numbers look like? Where should you be by the end of the week? And at the end of the week, hey, I just want to check in and see how you did. Did you get there? Did you not? What got in the way? It starts off with with a simpler conversations. And as you grow, I've now really started to enjoy having 411, 135, someday 5-year conversations, helping an agent to work backwards and to really send them home to sit with their spouse and really define someday goals and come back to me with where we should be by 5 years. And let's now really sit and talk about what you should have accomplished by the end of 2021. And then let's get into action. I think that a lot of agents, if you ask them what their goals were, they would give you result-based goals. They would tell you how much they want to earn. They would tell you, the agents that have really thought about it will tell you the numbers they should hit if they know their CGI well enough. They'll tell you the sales and the listings that they need. But one thing that they always need help with is the determining and getting clarity on the actions that need to happen to keep hitting those numbers. Because for some reason, there tends to be a brick wall where this is what I want. Okay, so what's the one thing you need to do right now to get there? So now I've now learned how to have those conversations, really drill down to the priority, the activity. But my advice there is start with what you know. If what you know is how to help an agent load contacts into their database, drive that for the month.
I would also like to add to that. What is that saying about, do you want to learn from the people who maybe know how to do it? Or do you maybe know, what is it saying? Do you want to learn from the people who show you how to do it? Or do you want to learn from the people who know how to do it?
Rebecca Rose, you've left your footprint, eh?
Yes, there's a statement, I believe it comes from MAPS coaching, which is, do you want to learn from someone who did it themselves but isn't really sure how they did it? Or do you want to learn from someone who knows how you can do it? And it's systems and models, because oftentimes, I don't know how things are in South Africa, but in the States, top agents, some of them have no idea how they do this business. They have a lot of friends. They're super friendly. They're gregarious. They're a people person. They've been in the business a long time. I mean, I've heard things like, I don't know, my phone rings. People call me. That's not great for someone who just started out. So when you know the systems and the models and you can help someone, that really helps you gain the credibility, the validity with your agents. But I also, what Ivan said is spot on. I think one of the things that really helped me in the beginning was I started out in the market center as the agent services coordinator. And so I spent time filling agents' emotional bank accounts. I helped them in a lot of ways of creating flyers or fixing their database, or if their phone was broken, knowing how to reset their phone. And then when I moved into different roles, I'd already filled their bank accounts, so I'd already really earned the right with them in a lot of ways. But Ivan's right, you have to pour into them first before you earn the right to attempt to coach them.
So let's move over to our next question. How well do you, as MCA, know the MREA, and how does knowing the book impact your relationship with your agents?
I would actually say that there's no such thing as mastering the MREA. I currently read it physically because I prefer paper books 2 times a year. And I have the leadership version, which is tabbed by topic, so that when someone's in my office and they have a question or they're focusing on something specific, I can quickly get to that page. I'm not someone like James Shaw who has all of the shift pages memorized yet. Maybe one day in my distant future, I will be that for the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. It certainly plays a huge impact. So, we have the audit conversations where we have conversations with the agent specific to their organizational model or their budget model. And we can talk to them about where they are. and then reference the page of the model so they can actually see where the material is coming from that you're having a conversation about. And that instantly gives you credibility. And all we are to be as the MCA is the resource that teaches people how to fish, not someone who is the person that has all the answers. And that is one of the things that I work with people on often, because when you are small, it's very easy to get into that pattern of being the answer person because you are learning things quickly and you have more access to the information quicker because you're in more trainings. And so you just want to give the answer and move on. And I would just encourage everyone, as you are referencing the MREA, to teach people how to fish, what page to go to, what the habit is around checking in on that, so they can walk away from there a better business owner.
I would say compared to who? So compared to Mark King, not at all. Compared to my agents, really well. And that's all that really matters. So I wouldn't judge yourself too harshly. It is a book you should, I believe, have out on your desk. But I'm going to go back to what Sandra just said, because I wish I had learned that sooner. You teach people how to treat you. And when you become Google for your people, they will constantly come to you for quick answers. And when you switch your thinking to, okay, I do know the answer, but I'm not going to give it to you. I'm going to ask you questions and come more from coaching than telling. And let me tell you, it sounds simple. It's a very, for me, it's a very hard shift to make, especially when you're a super busy MCA in a market center and you just want to give answers so you can just get through this. But Sandra's absolutely right. Questioning them and getting them to think through it. One, it helps you get to know them better. And two, it starts to teach them how to think in the way you want them to think, but for themselves. And it's going to free up your time. They also won't come to you if they know you're going to have some like hard questions for them until they're prepared. So it stops so many of the gotta minutes that'll eat up your whole day. I'm telling you, if someone had said that to me earlier, or if I'd listened, Mark, if Mark's watching, he's probably like, I tried to tell you. If I listened to that earlier, it would have been a game changer for me, because then I had to retrain agents and they were not happy with the new Rebecca, who did not want to just give them free answers all day long. I think that's huge. That's more huge than the MREA, sorry.
Absolutely. And I think because of the fact that models are the best way possible of doing things, understanding models helps you to get over this limiting belief that I don't have enough experience, I don't sell real estate myself, because you are guiding people to the best answers they can ever find. And my advice with that is pick that one model and do it one at a time. My favorite at the moment is this leads listings leverage concept. But pick the lead gen model, get a good understanding of it, and drive that. As you learning better how that model applies to real estate, then jump over to the next one, because what you're teaching people is the best way of doing something, not what you know necessarily.
I would just, and I know we have very little time remaining, I would just also encourage you, who on your team doesn't study the MREA, right? Is there anyone in your market center on your entire team, even if they work for you part-time, that doesn't have that book and isn't looking at it? And if the answer is yes, then that is one of your action items from today. Go make sure every single person knows what systems and models they are helping your agents follow.
I would like to add to that, thank you, Sandra, is that the MREA is not only a manual for the agents, but also a manual for the market center to make use of.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I was so fortunate when I started at Clockwork that was the first gift that Diane gave me, was her MREA. Thanks, Di, for listening.
So I know we have a little time remaining, but there is a question from the chat box. When is it necessary to hire an MCA assistant? Would that be possible to explain briefly?
Go ahead, Sandra.
I would just say, when you do a study, this is going to look different for you all. We have an idea of a unit count here, right? We had that idea for a little while, and then things have shifted. So the answer has shifted. And I think it's unique to every market center. You have to be really clear that every person that is on your team is operating at really high efficiency and doing the most dollar productive, dollar contributing activities with their time, and that they aren't just reactive. And when you're clear on that, and you know that there honestly isn't more bandwidth for your key leader in that role, then you can consider what the job description would be that you're looking for, what the non-negotiables of the kind of person you'd like to be in business are, and then you can look to hire that person.
I would say that I'm really big on titles. I don't care about them. So there's a certain amount of work in the market center that needs to get done, and everyone needs to be in their genius, in their lane, and you need the leverage to stay there. So reorging all of the tasks, I believe it's Michelle McBride who taught me about a sandbox exercise where you basically write on sticky notes everything that is getting done and everything that needs to be done, and you start putting them in people's different sandboxes to really look at like, what is each person doing? And as the MCA and the leader of the operations side, you really need to know what your people are doing. Because if one of your people is drowning and one of your people is on Facebook all day, there needs to be a reorganization of tasks and the way things work. As an MCA, I would leverage as soon as you can. As soon as there's another person in that office, look at your tasks. And the question I always ask agents is, does it have to be you, or does it just have to be someone? So it would have been a little awkward if I sent some other random person here today. You had been like, that's not Rebecca. That's a little weird that she sent this other person, right? But there's a lot of things as MCAs we do all day that no one cares who sorted the mail. No one cares who made the coffee. No one cares about these things. They care it gets done. It needs to be done, but does it need to be you? And I would immediately make that list. And even if you cannot afford to bring on a new role, which I know is true for many market centers, they don't have that space to hire someone because we lead with revenue, look into VAs, look into reorging what each person on your staff does. Because also if someone's doing what they love, they can do more. Read the book Multipliers if you haven't read it. And when I gave all of the creative stuff to the creative person, her capacity went through the roof. It took me forever to be creative. Don't ever ask me what the centerpiece should be at the ALC thing. I don't know. That is not for me. So really, I would say those two things, and as quick as possible. As quick as you can get some, even just 1 hour a day of a VA's work could change your life.
Just a quick reminder that, as well, to the MCAs thinking of delegating, that people are loyal to the standards that you represent and not necessarily to the person. So if you do start delegating, it's your responsibility as the MCA to make sure that the work is getting executed at the same quality that the people will know you have come to expect. And for as long as you maintain that standard, like Rebecca says, it doesn't matter who does it. But if you don't keep an eye on that and you start to drop the ball and people start to complain, then it's going to come straight back to you.
As it should. It's your responsibility to make sure it happens. It's not my responsibility to do it. It's my responsibility to make sure it happens to the standard, like you said, that we have come to expect in this market center. And that's why it's always on me. So if someone on my staff is not doing something right, that's not on them. I must not have set the correct expectations. Let me go work with them. Let me go see what we can do.
Great stuff. Thank you so much for your knowledge and value added that you've gained onto this session. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for inviting us. Yes.
Awesome.
We're done.
Yeah, we are done. Our session on SwapGuard is passed. So yeah, I see Natasha have stopped the recording. So yes, we are done. Thank you so much. You're relieved, but you're breathing, Ivan.
You did awesome, Ivan.
You were so amazing. You did great. I knew you would.
That was awesome. I want to do this again with you.
Oh.
So next one is MCA training you're going to present, right?
Do it.
Mhm.
You guys have a great day. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thanks,
Bye.
Sandra.
Thank you.
Bye, Ivan.